Hello, my name is Dr. David Plerdet. I'm a nutrition scientist and exercise scientist, and I'm the founder of the Plerdet Institute, a world leader in science-based weight loss. Today, I have a special guest with me, my dear friend, Dave Anderson. Dave, thanks so much.
You bet.
Absolutely. So this is our second interview with Dave Anderson. And just a little bit about Dave. Dave is very successful in business. He has a master's degree in banking and finance, an undergraduate degree in finance. He's the vice president of commercial lending for an international bank. He resides in the state of Wisconsin. I won't hold that against you. And he's also an incredible Packer fan. But Dave is the hero of our story. 10 months ago, I did a science-based weight loss assessment for him, a half-day process, where I measured him in a device called the BOD Pod. It's the most accurate instrument in the world for what it does. It differentiates fat and lean tissue more precisely than any other instrument. And at his highest weight, Dave Anderson weighed 252 pounds with 116.1 pounds of fat. He had 135.9 pounds of lean mass. What we learned during the half-day science-based weight loss assessment was remarkable. When Dave was 18 years old, he was physically mature. He had slightly low body fat. That meant he had 12% of his total weight as fat. That represented just under 20 pounds of body fat and 145 pounds of muscle, bone, connective tissue, and organ mass. Between the age of 18 and 53, Dave had a body fat increase of 96 pounds. This was approximately a 500% increase in body fat, and had a lot of health problems. He had high blood pressure, high triglyceride levels, high cholesterol. He had a slightly high fasting sugar. He had poor sleep patterns, obstructive sleep apnea. He was coming off the loss of his mom and his brother, mourning those losses and feeling really incredible despair. Dave, you came into the program, and in a 10-month period, it's almost hard to believe, you lost 100.6 pounds of fat, which represents 86.7% body fat weight loss. And it's the second best outcome I've ever seen in 31 years. It's truly an inspiring outcome. Dave, I gotta congratulate you on that, man.
Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah. So Dave, tell us a little bit about pain. We got together, did I summarize that pretty well?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you came here, you drove down from Wisconsin, we did the half-day assessment. You were not in a good place. It really took courage for you to come in and face the situation for what it was, but there were some major key learning points for you. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, you bet.
So one of the things we learned is that your fat cells were in a state of suppression. Do you remember that conversation?
I do.
So I draw people a diagram of the human fat cell, and there's an enzyme mechanism inside the fat cell that when it's in suppression, the fat cells are unwilling to degrade or break storage fat. It's called triglyceride, and subsequently the fat cell won't release fatty acids or fat. And so when that happens, fat's not available as a source of fuel, and the body defaults to the utilization of glucose. And I showed you that in the laboratory, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
And I told you it was going to take some time. Do you remember how long it would take for me to reverse that enzyme suppression?
3 days.
3 days. And the reason why it only takes 3 days is that as a scientist, I've been doing research in human nutrition, and my wheelhouse is chemistry. And so I taught you about chemistry in your food, things you can't smell, taste, or detect in everything that you ingested, not just foods, but fluids, and also the pills you took, and the capsules, and the powders, the shakes, the drinks. Anything that you were ingesting, anything injected, not that you were injecting anything, but the point is I teach people about chemistry and metabolism. We reversed the enzyme suppression, and what happened?
Pretty linear fat loss month after month.
Yeah, so body fat weight loss occurred for you at what rate per month?
About 20%.
20% per month. And we can see the spreadsheet that outlines his body fat weight loss and the percentage of fat weight loss per month. And not only did you lose 100.6 pounds of fat, but you gained almost 10 pounds of muscle. So Dave, one of the learning points was nutrition. And I prescribed a regimen for you in nutrition with a level of specificity you'd never seen before, right? Well, we have a chef on our team, and you come into the program as a foodie. And having a chef, tell us about how having a chef with us as we implemented your regimen, what did that do for you? How was that impactful?
Well, it made it a lot easier for me. I mean, I ended up talking to Kim, your chef, pretty often, especially in the early days, because I'm a foodie,
right?
Self-described, and now you've acknowledged it. I would talk to Kim pretty often about, hey, what certain things can I use to spice up dishes to make them more palatable, and she was great. And every time I'm down here, I end up pulling half the freezer from in, and I'm sure she appreciates it. But no, that part of it was fantastic.
So having a chef means we have foods to go for you, and it can help you carry the burden of food prep, and the fact that the food tastes delicious, right, doesn't hurt.
Absolutely.
Dave, one of the other major learning points was things that I taught you in exercise science. On the first day, and many visits after that, we placed you in our human performance laboratory where we measured muscle metabolism. And I prescribed for you exercise that was metabolically controlled. That means that the muscle fibers, when activated, utilized exclusively fat or fatty acids that came from your fat cells. But the implementation of that, tell us about that for you. What was that like?
It was incredibly easy. And I realized over my life that I probably had been working out way too hard.
Yeah, it's like you were in a tail chase physiologically. Since I prescribed exercise, obviously you've lost nearly 90% of your body fat. It's a mind-blowing outcome. But have you had food cravings after you exercise?
No.
Do you feel exhausted after exercise? No. Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
No, in fact, I feel energized. Yeah.
Wow. Let's talk about accountability. One of the things that makes our program very unique is that a doctor is in communication with you, myself, every day, right? I text you every day and hold you accountable. We have visits on a regular basis. Some of those visits are FaceTime, many of them are face-to-face. But what has that personal accountability meant for you in this process?
It means a lot. I mean, I think it's, in the early days of the program, you realize that, you can't do it by yourself. And the accountability from somebody like you calling in, checking in, making sure, energy's good and so forth, means a lot. It keeps you on track.
Amazing. Yeah, I agree. Let's talk about results. I'd like to cue up your picture. So let's take a look at let's start with the face shot. What we're looking at is your face when you weighed 252 with 116 pounds of fat. On the right, you have 15 pounds of fat, and it's 100.6 pounds less. What do you see, Dave?
I see the guy that I used to know in high school. The guy on the left is unrecognizable. It's an imposter.
It's incredible. You know what I see? I see a guy who has his joy back.
Yeah, for sure.
You were in so much pain when we first got together on February 20th. Your overall state just exudes joy, and let's talk quickly about your labs. Everything's better, right?
It is, yeah. I'm off cholesterol medication. I'm off triglycerides. I'm off blood pressure medication. Actually meeting with a doc next week for a follow-up, and my doc literally didn't recognize me when I walked through the door a few months ago.
Isn't that true for a lot of people? They don't recognize you.
It is, yeah, it's crazy.
Which is what we kind of talked about on the first day. I said this was going to happen, and anyway, I never get tired of it. One detail about your health history: you gave one of your kidneys to your brother Toby, and when you came in to see me, you had high blood pressure on one kidney. And let's make no mistake about it. It was a death sentence.
Yeah.
And if you had not course corrected, this was not going to go well.
Right.
And your nephrologist has said what?
My lab
The
results.
kidney doctor, sorry.
Yeah, my lab results have been fantastic, and it's almost, the kidney is almost performing like my body did with 2 kidneys, almost 30 years ago.
It's a miracle. Well, I don't want to overstate, but it's truly an inspiring story. Let's take a look at some other pictures. Let's look at your full body face or front shot. What do you notice, Dave?
Well, yeah, finally I have definition back. Yeah.
I mean, did you look that good when you were a senior in college?
I think I did. I think I did. But no, I mean, that was probably closer to high school, honestly.
Yeah, you're at 9.5% body fat.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And to put this into perspective, audience, normal body fat for an 18-year-old is 15%. Dave's at 9.5%. Let's cue up the side upper body shot. I want to just point out the clinical significance of the absence of intra-abdominal fat. Your diaphragm's no longer obstructed. You could barely breathe before. Your liver had gotten fat, non-alcoholic fatty liver. All those things have gone away.
Yeah.
Truly amazing.
Yeah. And I can tie my shoes just bending over.
Right? And you can breathe now when you're doing it. Right?
Absolutely.
Incredible. Dave, I want to thank you.
Thank you.
You-
I couldn't have done it without you.
You blow my mind. Your story is truly an amazing inspiration. Dave, let's think about our audience right now. There are men and women out there today that are exactly where you were on February 20th of this year. They're frustrated, they're confused, they don't like the way they look, they don't like the way they feel. They're mad at themselves for letting themselves go. They have fear about the trajectory of their health. They may feel shame. It's dark, right? And now they've heard your story. What would you say to him or her to encourage them to take the first step and call?
Well, I think if you're experiencing any of the things that Doc just said, especially if you're in a position where you're in despair, you don't know how to get out of it, and part of it is nutrition or physical well-being related. Obviously, you're watching this video, right? You could be watching any video on the planet, and you're watching this one. So that's step one. Step two is get his number, get his website address, reach out to him. It's worth a conversation. More importantly, it's worth the half day just to come in and talk about what he can do for you, as he did for me. I mean, look, I wasn't in a place for 20 years that I wanted to do this, or I thought I did. I thought I knew how to do it by myself, but I couldn't do it by myself. And I didn't realize I couldn't do it by myself. And so I'm thankful that I did reach out to Dave, and Dave, spent the time with me and made the investment in me. It was fantastic.
Dave, thank you so much, man.
You bet.
Awesome. I also want to thank you, our audience, for taking the time out of your busy day to watch this conversation. I hope you feel encouragement, and I want to conclude the conversation today with this. You don't have to struggle anymore. Pick up the phone and call 844-756-8733. Our intake department is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you'd prefer, you can go to the website at thepluridayinstitute.com and go to the Get Started page and send us a confidential note. Either way, we'll be back with you within less than 24 hours. I hope to see you soon. Thanks so much.